Most people believe that increasing their income is about learning a new trick, finding a faster shortcut, or discovering a secret that others don't know. They believe that if they just work harder, stay busier, or chase the next opportunity, their income will eventually catch up to their effort. But effort alone has never been the formula for extraordinary results. There are people who work endlessly and remain stuck, and there are people who work with clarity and create exponential growth. The difference is not talent, it is not luck, it is not even intelligence. The difference is intention. Income is not a number. Income is an outcome. And like every outcome, it is the result of a system. If you focus only on the number, you will always feel frustrated. But if you focus on the system that creates the number, the growth becomes inevitable. The first keynote of the 1000% income formula begins with a simple but uncomfortable truth. People do not pay you more because you want more. They pay you more because you are worth more to them. This is where most people get it wrong. They wake up thinking about bills, expenses, and comparisons. They think about what they need, what they lack, and what they deserve. But the market does not reward need, it rewards value. And value begins with clarity of purpose. Before anyone is willing to invest more money in you, they must understand why you exist, why you do what you do, and why it matters. When your work is driven only by money, people can sense it. And when people sense it, trust disappears. The fastest growing incomes in the world are built on belief. Belief in a mission, belief in a message, belief that the work being done serves something bigger than the individual doing it. When people believe in what you believe, they don't negotiate your worth. They advocate for it. They recommend you. They stay loyal even when cheaper options exist. This is how income multiplies without force. A 1000% increase never comes from doing the same thing more times. It comes from doing something more meaningful. When you solve a small problem, you receive a small reward. When you solve a real problem, one that costs people time, energy, or peace of mind, the reward grows. And when you solve that problem for many people at once, income stops growing linearly and starts growing exponentially. This is not theory. This is how every meaningful business movement and career has scaled. The question then is not how hard you work. The question is who you serve and how deeply you understand their problem. People don't buy products or services. They buy relief. They buy clarity. They buy confidence. They buy the feeling that someone finally understands them. When you can articulate someone's problem better than they can, they will trust you to solve it. And trust is the foundation of all financial growth. Many people believe income growth is blocked by lack of opportunity. In reality, it is blocked by lack of leverage. Time is the most limited resource you have. If your income depends entirely on how many hours you work, it will always have a ceiling. Exponential income requires leverage. That leverage can come from systems, from technology, from teams, or from ideas that can travel without you being present. The moment your value continues to work while you sleep, income changes its behavior. But leverage without patience collapses. One of the hardest truths about increasing income is that it requires delayed gratification. The people who experience massive financial growth are often invisible at the beginning. They are building while others are consuming. They are learning while others are entertaining themselves. They are sacrificing comfort today to create freedom tomorrow. What looks like overnight success is almost always the result of years of unseen discipline. There is also a moral dimension to income that few people talk about. Money flows toward those who are trusted, not liked, trusted. Trust is built when actions and words align, when promises are kept, when consistency replaces intensity. People will forgive mistakes, but they will not forgive dishonesty. Long-term income is never sustained by hype. It is sustained by integrity. If you want to increase your income by 1000%, you must be willing to increase your responsibility by 1000%. Responsibility for your thinking, responsibility for the value you offer, responsibility for the people you serve. Income grows when you stop asking, what can I get? And start asking, how can I contribute? The irony is that the more you focus on contribution, the more income follows. This formula is not about becoming someone else. It is about becoming more of who you already are, but with clarity and courage. When your work has meaning, when your service has direction, and when your actions build trust, money becomes a natural result, not the purpose, not the obsession. The result, a 1000% increase, is not a miracle. It is alignment. Alignment between why you work, how you work, and who you work for. When that alignment exists, income stops being something you chase and starts being something you attract. And that is when growth becomes not just possible, but inevitable. Most people believe that income grows when you become better at what you do. And while improvement matters, it is only part of the equation. You can be excellent, hardworking, and disciplined and still remain stuck, because income does not grow based on effort alone. It grows based on impact, and impact is determined by the size of the problem you choose to solve. The uncomfortable truth is this: if your income has plateaued, it is not because you are incapable. It is because the problem you are solving is too small, too narrow, or too limited in reach. The world does not reward intention, it rewards usefulness. And usefulness is measured by relevance, scale, and significance. People do not wake up thinking about you. They wake up thinking about their problems, their frustrations, their fears, their delays, their unmet expectations, and they are constantly, consciously or unconsciously, searching for someone who understands them, someone who can articulate what they feel but cannot explain. When you become that person, income changes its behavior. A small problem earns a small reward. A big problem earns a bigger one. This is not about greed, it is about responsibility. The more pressure you remove from someone's life, the more value you create. And value is the only thing money responds to consistently. If you want your income to increase by 1,000%, you must be willing to take on problems that others avoid, ignore, or underestimate. Most people compete on features, on price, on speed, but the greatest income growth comes from competing on understanding. When you understand people deeply, you stop selling and start serving. And when service replaces selling, resistance disappears. People lean in, they listen, they trust. And trust is what turns a transaction into a relationship. There is a critical shift that happens when you stop asking, how can I make more? And start asking, how can I help more people? The focus moves outward. You stop centering your needs and start centering theirs. Ironically, that shift is what unlocks exponential growth. Because income does not scale when you focus on yourself. It scales when you focus on others. But solving bigger problems alone is not enough. You must also solve them for more people. This is where many talented individuals remain limited. They deliver value one person at a time, 1 hour at a time, one effort at a time. There is honor in that work, but there is also a ceiling. Exponential income requires scale. Scale does not mean losing authenticity. It means designing your value so it can travel without you. It means turning knowledge into systems, experience into frameworks, and effort into repeatable processes. When your value depends entirely on your presence, growth will always be slow. When your value can be accessed without you, growth accelerates. This is where leverage enters the equation. Leverage is not about doing less. It is about making what you do matter more. Technology, teams, content, and systems are not shortcuts. They are amplifiers. They take a good idea and give it reach. They take a meaningful solution and multiply its impact. And when impact multiplies, income follows. However, leverage without clarity creates noise. The world is full of loud voices with little substance. They gain attention quickly and lose trust even faster. Sustainable income does not come from being seen everywhere. It comes from being trusted somewhere. Depth always outperforms volume in the long run. Trust is built when people feel safe with you. Safe to follow, safe to listen, safe to invest. And safety is created through consistency. When your message does not change with trends, when your actions align with your words, when people know what you stand for and what you will never compromise. In a world full of uncertainty, consistency becomes a competitive advantage. Another truth few people accept is that income growth requires patience. Not passive waiting, but disciplined endurance. The problems worth solving are rarely easy. The audiences worth serving take time to build. The systems that scale take time to refine. Many people quit too early because results did not arrive on their preferred timeline, but the timeline was never the problem. Their expectations were, those who achieve extraordinary income growth are not obsessed with speed. They are obsessed with direction. They would rather move slowly towards something meaningful than quickly towards something empty. And that choice compounds. Because every action, when aligned with purpose, builds momentum instead of burnout. There is also a mindset shift required to sustain a 1,000% increase. You must stop thinking like a worker and start thinking like a steward of trust, a steward of value, a steward of people's time and belief. When people give you their attention, they are giving you something they can never get back. Treating that gift with respect is what turns audiences into communities and custom, RS into advocates. Income does not grow because you demand more. It grows because more people choose you. And people choose you when you make them feel understood, supported, and confident in the future they are moving toward. When you help others win, they pull you up with them. This second keynote is not about tactics. It is about perspective. It is about lifting your eyes from the immediate task and asking a bigger question. What problem am I truly here to solve? And how many people can I help solve it? When that question becomes your compass, decisions become clearer. Distractions lose their power, and income becomes a reflection of the impact you create. A 1,000% increase is not achieved by chasing money. It is achieved by chasing meaning at scale. When you commit to solving bigger problems for more people with integrity and patience, income stops being something you pursue and becomes something that arrives, not because you asked for it, but because you earned it. There comes a point in every meaningful journey where effort alone stops being enough. You can work longer hours, say yes to more opportunities, and push yourself harder than ever before, and still feel as though progress has slowed. This is the moment when many people assume they have reached their limit. But in reality, they have only reached the limit of how they are working, not what they are capable of creating. Income does not multiply through exhaustion. It multiplies through leverage. And leverage begins with a shift in thinking. Instead of asking, how much more can I do? The better question becomes, how can what I do continue without me? This question changes the game entirely because it forces you to design value that outlives your immediate effort. Most people are trapped in a one-to-one exchange. 1 hour equals 1 result. 1 task equals 1 reward. There is dignity in this kin of work, but there is also a ceiling. No matter how skilled or disciplined you are, time will always be finite. A 1,000% increase in income is impossible if your value is locked inside your calendar. Leverage is not about shortcuts or cutting corners. It is about structure. It is about building systems that repeat your best efforts without requiring your constant presence. When you document what works, refine it, and turn it into a process, you stop relying on memory and motivation. You create reliability, and reliability is what allows growth to scale. Think about the difference between talent and systems. Talent shines when conditions are perfect. Systems perform even when conditions are not. People with high income over long periods of time are rarely the most talented in the room. They are the ones who built environments where good results happen consistently. And consistency over time always outperforms intensity. Technology plays a role here, but technology alone is never the answer. Tools amplify intent. If the intent is unclear, technology simply spreads confusion faster. The goal is not to be everywhere, the goal is to be effective. When technology is used to extend a clear message, a proven solution, or a meaningful service, it becomes a powerful multiplier of income. But leverage is not only external, it is also internal. One of the most underutilized forms of leverage is decision-making. Every time you make a decision once and allow it to guide many actions, you save energy and create focus. When your values are clear, decisions become easier. When decisions are easier, progress accelerates. Another powerful form of leverage is people. Many resist collaboration because they fear losing control or credit. But income grows faster in circles than in isolation. When you build teams, partnerships, or communities aligned with a shared purpose, your impact expands beyond what you could ever achieve alone. Leadership is not about doing everything yourself. It is about creating clarity so others can contribute at their best. However, leverage without responsibility becomes dangerous. When systems scale faster than character, collapse is inevitable. History is full of examples of rapid growth followed by sudden failure, not because the idea was flawed, but because the foundation was weak. Sustainable income growth requires alignment between values and behavior at every level. This is where patience becomes essential. Systems take time to build. Teams take time to trust. Audiences take time to believe. Many people abandon leverage too early because it does not deliver instant gratification. But the early stages of building leverage often feel slower than doing everything yourself. The difference is that once leverage is in place, progress compounds. There is a moment when effort and reward finally separate. A moment when results continue even if you step back. This is the turning point most people never reach because they quit just before it arrives. The discipline to stay consistent during the quiet phase is what separates those who grow linearly from those who grow exponentially. A 1,000% increase in income also requires the courage to let go. Let go of tasks that no longer require your unique strengths. Let go of perfectionism that slows progress. Let go of the belief that your worth is tied to being busy. When you free yourself from low-impact activities, you create space for strategic thinking, innovation, and leadership. And leadership is ultimately the highest form of leverage. When you lead with clarity, others move with confidence. When you lead with purpose, others contribute with commitment. People do not need to be managed when they are inspired. They need to be reminded why the work matters. And when people believe in the mission, they protect it, improve it, and expand it. Income grows when leadership replaces labor, when direction replaces effort, when vision replaces urgency. This does not mean you stop working. It means your work changes. You move from execution to design, from reaction to intention, from doing everything to building something that does not depend entirely on you. This third keynote is about building engines, not engines of burnout, but engines of value, engines that run on clarity, trust, and systems. When you build something that can operate with or without you, you are no longer limited by time. And when time is no longer the constraint, income can grow in ways that once felt impossible. A 1,000% increase is not achieved by pushing harder. It is achieved by thinking differently, by designing work that lasts, by creating structures that scale, and by trusting that the time spent building leverage today will reward you many times over tomorrow. There is a belief that quietly shapes most financial decisions, and it rarely gets questioned. The belief is that success should happen quickly, that progress should be visible early, that if effort is real, results should be immediate. This belief is not only unrealistic, it is dangerous, because it pushes people to trade long-term growth for short-term relief, and that trade is the reason most income goals are never reached. Extraordinary income is rarely built on speed. It is built on patience, discipline, and the ability to delay gratification in a world that rewards impulsive behavior. The fourth keynote of the 1,000% income formula begins with a simple truth. What you want most tomorrow is often in direct conflict with what feels comfortable today. Most people are not lacking opportunity. They are lacking restraint. They spend before they invest. They consume before they create. They chase validation before they build value. And every time they choose short-term pleasure over long-term progress, they quietly limit their future income. Delayed gratification is not about suffering. It is about prioritizing. It is the discipline to say no to good options in order to say yes to better ones later. It is the willingness to endure temporary discomfort for permanent capability. Those who master this principle are not more motivated than others. They are more intentional. Look closely at people who achieve massive income growth, and a pattern emerges. They live below their means long after they could afford more. They reinvest when others celebrate. They stay focused when others get distracted by noise. What looks like restraint from the outside is actually clarity on the inside. There is a misunderstanding about sacrifice. Many assume sacrifice means losing something. In reality, sacrifice means choosing what matters most, choosing who you want to become, choosing the future over the moment. When you see sacrifice as loss, you resist it. When you see it as alignment, you embrace it. Delayed gratification also builds credibility. When people see consistency over time, they trust it. When they see patience in decision-making, they respect it. Quick wins may attract attention, but steady progress earns belief. And belief is what sustains income long after excitement fades. One of the hardest things to accept is that meaningful progress often looks like stagnation from the outside. The early stages of growth are quiet. Systems are being tested. Skills are being sharpened. Character is being formed. Nothing looks impressive yet. And that is exactly why most people quit. They mistake silence for failure, but those who understand the long game know that early effort is not wasted. It is stored. Every lesson compounds. Every discipline strengthens. Every LL improvement builds capacity. When momentum finally arrives, it appears sudden. But it was never sudden. It was prepared for. Delayed gratification also protects you from shortcuts that cost more than they give. Many people increase income temporarily by compromising values, cutting corners, or chasing trends they don't believe in. These strategies may work briefly, but they erode trust, and once trust is damaged, income becomes unstable. True financial growth is built on reputation, and reputation is built slowly. It is built through reliability, honesty, and consistency over time. You cannot rush trust. You can only earn it. Those who are willing to wait are often the ones who end up with the most. There is also a psychological advantage to patience. When you are not desperate for immediate results, you make better decisions. You are less reactive. You are less influenced by fear or comparison. You are able to think strategically instead of emotionally. And strategy always outperforms impulse. Delayed gratification requires courage because it often means standing alone. While others are chasing the next big thing, you are quietly building fundamentals. While others are spending, you are investing. While others are announcing success, you are preparing for it. This path is not glamorous, but it is powerful. Another overlooked benefit of this principle is resilience. When income growth is built slowly, it is built on solid ground. Market changes, trends, and setbacks become manageable instead of devastating. You are not dependent on a single moment or opportunity. You have created stability through discipline. A 1,000% increase in income is not about denying yourself joy. It is about redefining it. The deepest satisfaction does not come from instant rewards. It comes from capability, freedom, and the ability to choose your future without fear. That kind of joy. Delayed, but it is also durable. This keynote is about trusting time as an ally instead of fighting it as an enemy. About understanding that the seeds you plant today may not bloom tomorrow, but they will bloom if you keep tending to them. Progress that lasts is never rushed. Those who master delayed gratification understand that wealth is not built in moments of excitement, but in seasons of discipline. They are willing to endure boredom, uncertainty, and slow progress because they are committed to a vision bigger than immediate comfort. A 1,000% income increase does not happen because you wanted it fast. It happens because you are willing to wait long enough while doing the right things consistently. When patience guides your actions, time begins to work in your favor. And when time works in your favor, growth becomes not only possible, but predictable. There is one factor that determines whether income grows temporarily or multiplies sustainably, and it is not intelligence, speed, or even strategy. It is trust. Trust is the invisible force behind every long-term financial success story. When trust is present, growth accelerates. When trust is broken, income collapses, sometimes overnight. Money moves towards certainty. People invest where they feel safe. They commit where they feel understood. And they stay loyal where they feel respected. This is why trust is not soft or emotional. It is practical. It is measurable. And it is the most valuable currency you will ever earn. Most people believe trust is built through persuasion. In reality, trust is built through consistency, saying the same thing over time, doing what you say you will do, showing up when it is inconvenient. These behaviors may seem small, but over time they compound into credibility, and credibility changes how people respond to you. When people trust you, price becomes less important. Competition becomes less threatening. Mistakes become survivable. Trust creates margin, not just financially, but emotionally. It gives you room to grow, adapt, and evolve without losing support. That margin is what allows income to scale without instability. One of the biggest misconceptions about trust is that it comes from being perfect. It does not. Trust comes from being human and reliable. People do not expect flawlessness. They expect honesty. They expect accountability. They expect alignment between words and actions. When that alignment exists, trust grows naturally. Trust also grows when you are clear about what you stand for and what you will not do. Boundaries build confidence. When people know your values, they know what to expect. And predictability is comforting. In a world full of uncertainty, those who provide clarity become anchors. Anchors attract commitment. Income that grows quickly without trust is fragile. It depends on hype, pressure, or urgency. The moment attention shifts, it disappears. But income built on trust is resilient. It survives market changes. It survives competition. It survives mistakes. Because people are not buying a product, they are buying belief. Another overlooked aspect of trust is how it affects decision-making. When trust exists, decisions happen faster. Fewer explanations are needed. Less persuasion is required. Momentum increases. Opportunities open. Trust reduces friction. And reduced friction accelerates growth. But trust must be earned continuously. It is not a one-time achievement. It is a daily practice. Every interaction either strengthens or weakens it. Every promise kept adds to it. Every shortcut taken subtracts from it. The danger is that erosion often happens quietly, long before consequences appear. Those who achieve a 1,000% increase in income understand that trust compounds like interest. Slowly at first, then all at once. For a long time, it feels as though nothing is happening. Then suddenly people start recommending you without being asked. Opportunities find you. Doors open that you never knocked on. This is not luck. This is accumulated trust paying dividends. Trust also transforms leadership. When people trust you, they do not need to be controlled. They self-regulate. They take ownership. They protect the mission. This is how small efforts create massive outcomes. When others carry the vision with you, impact expands beyond your individual capacity. There is a personal dimension to trust that cannot be ignored. You cannot consistently earn the trust of others if you do not trust yourself. Self-trust comes from integrity, doing what you said you would do, even when no one is watching. When your internal standards are high, your external reputation follows. Many people sabotage long-term income by chasing short-term wins that violate their own values. They justify small compromises. They tell themselves it is temporary, but every compromise trains others how to treat them. Over time, those small decisions define the ceiling of their income. Trust also requires courage, the courage to tell the truth when it is uncomfortable, the courage to say no when saying yes would be easier, the courage to walk away from opportunities that do not align with who you are becoming. These choices may feel costly in the moment, but they pay dividends over time. One of the most powerful things trust creates is patience from others. When people trust your intent, they give you time. They give you grace. They give you the benefit of the doubt. And time is essential for building anything meaningful. Without trust, there is pressure. With trust, there is partnership. A 1,000% income increase is never sustained by transactions alone. Transactions are moments. Trust is a relationship. Relationships grow, relationships deepen, relationships multiply. When people believe in you, they do more than buy from you. They stand with you. This keynote is about choosing the long road in a world addicted to shortcuts, about understanding that reputation outlasts trends, about realizing that the fastest way to lose everything is to grow faster than trust allows. But the most powerful way to grow is to let trust lead. When trust becomes the foundation of your work, income stops feeling uncertain. It becomes predictable. It becomes stable. It becomes scalable. Not because you chased it harder, but because you earned it patiently. In the end, people will forget what you offered. They will forget what you charged, but they will remember how safe they felt choosing you. And that feeling is what brings them back, brings others with them, and allows your income to grow far beyond what effort alone could ever achieve. A 1,000% increase is not built on clever tactics. It is built on character, consistency, and courage. When trust becomes your currency, growth becomes a natural consequence, not a constant pursuit.